Welcome to the Funtastik Show, which is presented by Happy Biz. I'm your host, Ruchi. We have got a treat for you today, folks. Joining us are two amazing guests who are taking the food scenes by storm. First up, the one and only Kush Shah, who is the co-founder of Dos Bros and Dos Bros Creamery, bringing the flavor-packed magic of Mexican cuisine. And next to me, we have very delightful Riddhi Shah, the mastermind behind the House of Cakes, serving up delicious sweetness. So let's give them a warm welcome as we dive into some fun and tasty conversations.
Put me on the spot.
तो बन गया ना सालसा.
That's true. Make me hot with the spicy salsa.
तुमसे मिलके दिल का है जो हाल क्या कहे, कर दिया है तुमने ये धमाल क्या करे.
Now you're being modest here. You know the truth, right?
तो आपने अभी तक हाउस ऑफ केक का केक चखा ही नहीं है और बंदर क्या जाने अदरक का स्वाद. वुड से क्रम्बी कॉमेडियन.
What's that? Crumbly comedian. I don't understand why everybody is talking to Riddhi. Kitchen के सारे equipments बात कर रहे हैं, but
You should have said House of Cakes.
ब्राउनीज.
how does Rose? Okay. You look. काफी सही promotion. So welcome Kush and Riddhi to the Funtastik Show.
थैंक यू रुचि.
Thank you, Ruchi. Pleasure being here.
So, Kush, as we all know that you are a young entrepreneur, and our viewers would be very much interested to know a lot about you as an individual, as a personality. So, Kush, my first question to you is, give the viewers and audience a quick glimpse in your entrepreneurial journey.
My journey started with sports. You know, sports has been a very integral part of my career. And, just from there, it started giving me glimpse of what I wanted to really do in life and, take risks. Entrepreneurship is all about taking risks.
Right.
I really got intrigued by the food business, coming from a foodie family. So, restaurant, was my first love, always used to sit with my mom and she used to cook in front of me while doing my homework. So, that really intrigued me, to sort of, I was fascinated with food and early on, and I wanted to be in that industry. So my career started as, sweeping and mopping floors, when I was studying in US.
Is it?
Yeah. That was the only job that I could have on campus because we didn't have work permit. And from there, I started waiting tables, being a server in a steakhouse, and really got interested in the business. From there, got promoted to being a bartender, supervisor, and then pretty much stuck to the industry. And that is honestly all I knew, after sports. So I believe I opened my first business, when I came back from US to India, and I opened my first restaurant when I was 22 in Ahmedabad. Led a couple of big companies, as a CEO, major brands. I've handled 800, 1,200 employees, staff. And then again, I shifted back to US, opened up a frozen yogurt store, and that failed, then got into Dos Bros. And here we are today, 10 years later. I think Dos Bros opened in 2015. And, now we're operating 45 plus restaurants in 3 countries.
Well, that's a big achievement, right?
Thank you.
Starting from at a very young age. So why exactly like food industry? You've mentioned that your mom and your family had some kind of imprints, behind this idea. So why only exclusively into food industry?
So food industry, because, I feel that the amount of pleasure that it gives for a small amount that you spend, it could be 20 bucks, 50, 100, 500 rupees, but it gives you an amazing pleasure, when you have that meal and having that passion. And I feel like it just connects me a lot, with my childhood memories and it's a necessity for the body as well. So I feel like just seeing people come to my restaurant, enjoy a great meal, and the compliments or the kind of expressions that I see, it's just very satisfying.
Yeah. So seeing that your customers are happy, right?
True.
And celebrating their own special occasions at the restaurant is something which gives you.
It does, yeah.
और फूड के साथ ऑटोमेटिकली इमोशंस जुड़ जाते हैं.
Yeah, very true.
It validates what I do actually, and what purpose I have in life. So, because, I'd be hanging out, at a friend's place or going to a party or get together, and then I'll see my customers and, meet people, that found out, about my brand. And, they give me compliments, and that's how I sleep really well. I feel like I'm doing something right. Yeah.
This is very true. When you convert your passion into profession is what gives you the real big amount of contentment at the end of the day, I think, is what Kush justifies to that. So Kush, अगर आप food industry में अगर related नहीं होते तो और क्या कर रहे होते? आपको हम क्या करते हुए देखते?
I am actually pretty creative, when it comes to interiors. I love, I love landscape. I love interiors. I love architecture. I love, just traveling and, different designs. So maybe, I don't know, if I, might not have been in the food industry, I would have loved to be an athlete, professional athlete, but that didn't work out. So I think, architecture or something related to design, would definitely be my forte.
Okay. So Mexican cuisine is what Dos Bros serves, right?
That is correct.
आपका क्या cuisine है जो favorite है?
मेरा तो Indian cuisine favorite है. So, hands down, I love my Indian food. And, my mom's food, of course, is my favorite, घर का खाना.
Okay.
Apart from that, I love North Indian food as well.
That's great. Very interesting. You've also mentioned that you started a venture in US somehow, and it was not. Didn't went well, very good, and you have faced certain kind of setbacks into that venture.
Correct.
So, what advice you would give to the upcoming budding entrepreneurs, especially into the food industry, how to face those challenges and setbacks? What mistakes usually they should not do?
I feel as a human being, your failures define you.
Right.
No matter how much success we want to see, but I think it's really important to see those failures in order to understand and have a prolonged successful career, because it's really important in today's world actually to know what not to do,
Right.
rather than to know what
to do.
So I feel like, it has played a very pivotal role in my journey, my failure with the yogurt store.
Right.
Because I had very limited funds. I had actually, in fact, sold a property, that I'd purchased a few years ago with my saved money. And I came from a middle-class family. So, it wasn't that, I could just call my parents and ask them that, hey, I need such and such amount to do business. I had to work my way up to it. I had pretty much worked almost 10 years to sort of save that kind of money. And, when you put everything, your heart and soul into that project and it doesn't do well.
Exactly.
It shatters you. It takes your confidence away. There were days when, before I was handling a staff of 800,000 people. And here I'm sitting in my store, barely doing sales of $100, $100 a day when it's snowing or raining. And the thought process, that it makes you go through, and it makes you question your identity, what you're doing. And I think that really sort of made me stronger. And, having a great support system, my family, my friends, having the right set of people around you that motivate you. And they motivated me to take my next step. And they helped me financially as well to actually get and support me, to actually get me ready to take that risk again. And, maybe, try with Dos Bros, because at that time, I was planning on just going back to my corporate job Monday to Friday, having a fat salary. I mean, it was, insured. But, that really actually, pushed me to get to founding Dos Bros and having the right set of people. And that is how I actually, got into Dos Bros. And then, luckily, it started and boom, here we are.
So, well, that's quite inspiring to come out of the self-doubt cycle. And I think it is very important for an individual when you are venturing into something, be ready to take the risk, right?
Very true.
So when Kush is not into business, what do you do in your free time then?
My free time, I love fitness. I love traveling. I love food. So, mostly, my life is pretty much, revolving around, going to the gym, playing pickleball, love playing cricket as well, having friends over, or just, chilling and, most likely, traveling for food with friends, getting together. So, pretty much, just.
So you do a lot of stuff. Since you are into food industry, we see that Kush is very fit and he works a lot in gym and into the fitness. तो इतना खाना आप जो खाते हैं वो जा कहाँ रहा है? कैसे आप क्या टिप्स देंगे to the viewers to have that good mindset as well as good physical health? Why fitness is important?
For me, looking good is extremely important. When I look good, when I dress well,
Yes.
it makes me feel better and it enhances my confidence. And I think that plays with your thought process as well. So it gives me a very clear thought process and a sense of clarity when I'm making my decisions. Because if you don't feel confident, you're going to be cloudy.
Exactly.
And, that's not going to help you make the right decisions. And I feel like, you just need to be mindful. There's, honestly, I don't follow any diet, but I just know that, what is good for me and what is not good for me. And that is one of the reasons, that since I don't follow any particular diet, it's really important for me to, hit my cardio, eat your meals in portions, don't sort of, I don't want to starve myself because, that again will, mess with my thought process because, I need my sugar when I need it. If I'm feeling a little low, I want to eat something sweet. So I feel like, don't restrict yourself, but I think just be smart about it. And, I feel like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes for yourself, in a day, I think everyone should take that time out just for your health and, invest in yourself.
What about then people give excuse कि हमारे पास तो time ही नहीं है, time हमें मिलता ही नहीं. So what would you say there?
They're lazy. So I think, 20
Very
minutes
true.
to take out, for yourself, it could be just walking around. All that needs to happen is the blood needs to flow to all the organs of your body
Right.
to keep them. I feel fitness is not defined by a certain look or certain physique. You should be able to jog or run. If someone's, after you with a knife or something, you should be able to get away and run for 15, 20 minutes and or jog and, get yourself out of that situation. So I feel like, fitness, is defined by, internal happiness and, how you feel inside, So I feel like it's, it's
So that's a great thought that your fitness defines your mindset and fitness is more internal, right? It is not external as Kush has
Absolutely.
mentioned that आप कैसे दिखते हैं वो महत्वपूर्ण नहीं है, आप कैसा सोचते हैं और अंदर अपने बारे में आप कैसा reflect करते हैं. I think that is the right mindset and right fitness. So Kush, what would be your key piece of advice to the aspiring food entrepreneurs?
key piece of advice to the entrepreneurs to figure out, what really, your USP is with your product.
Right.
Because these days, in our industry, we see a lot of entrepreneurs getting in. And I believe that a lot of people are trying to do 100 items at 10%. I rather do 10 items at 100%. So I feel like that is really important to have your USP correct. Make sure, what kind of product you're planning on giving. And that sense of clarity needs to be crystal clear for the food entrepreneurs before they jump into the restaurant industry.
Because we've seen that, a lot of cafes and restaurants, they open and within just initial 6 months or 8 months, they just close.
So I'll come to it because, what is happening is that a lot of these entrepreneurs either are first-time entrepreneurs that are leaving their jobs and coming into entrepreneurship.
Right.
So they still have that job mentality. Or what is going on is dads are writing a check for the kids to come in the business. And the thing is that in India, the square footage cost is really high. So if you're occupying a ground floor real estate, and on top of that, if you have a multi-cuisine menu,
Right.
you're going to need a huge staff and the square footage that you're occupying. So a lot of 90% of the businesses are going wrong trying to deliver that multi-cuisine experience because they're trying to deliver continental, they're trying to deliver Chinese, they're trying to deliver Indian, Mexican, and Italian. And they're doing it, they're serving 200, 300 items at 10%
Exactly.
delivery. So I rather cut the menu down, give a short menu, but make sure that you're doing the items at 100%.
Exactly, this is what Dose Bros is doing. I think you're very selective.
That is correct. And, I feel like, QSR is the way to go in this industry.
Yes.
Because a massive revenue is coming from Zomato and Swiggy. And, I feel like, people these days want convenience. And, with the, if you look at the whole tide, with the sit down restaurants, it's pretty much against you because, there's a lot of issues, there's definitely issues in our industry with input credits, with GST and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Other businesses, we're not getting, credits on. So we're losing there as well. And then on top of that, you're paying high rents, high salaries, high staff turnovers.
Right.
Same issues, happen in our industry with our suppliers as well. We have frequent people getting in, getting out. So, it's really important to understand those challenges and be prepared for those.
Okay, so this is really very insightful. And dear viewers and audience, this was Kusha from Dose Bros. So in the house, I have Riddhi Shah from the House of Cakes. Riddhi, tell us about the House of Cakes. Where did this idea spark?
Ruchi, cooking is always my passion and hobby also. So मैं कुछ ना कुछ बनाती रहती थी. स्मॉल गैदरिंग्स घर पे होते थे, छोटी किटी पार्टीज होती थी, तो डेजर्ट्स और केक्स मतलब मैं बेक करती थी. तब सोचा कि इतने सारे कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स मिलते थे कि बहुत अच्छा बना है, सो मेनी थिंग्स. तो आई थॉट कि क्यों ना इसको एक वन स्टेप अहेड लेके देखूं, इसको प्रोफेशनली ग्रो करूं. तो मैंने सोचा और वहां से हाउस ऑफ केक की शुरुआत हुई. और फिर मैंने जॉब प्रीवियसली बहुत किए हुए हैं, तो मुझे फाइनेंशियली इंडिपेंडेंट भी बनना था. आई हैव 2 डॉटर्स, तो उनका फ्यूचर भी सेट करना था. सो वहां से मैंने द हाउस ऑफ केक की जर्नी स्टार्ट की.
तो हाउस से स्टार्ट हुआ है, इसीलिए ब्रांड नेम भी द हाउस ऑफ केक्स रख दिया.
सो दिमाग में पहले ही वही आया कि हाउस से स्टार्ट हुआ है तो द हाउस ऑफ केक ही क्यों ना रखे.
राइट.
और मुझे अभी इंडस्ट्री में 7 years, आई हैव कंप्लीटेड 7 years. तो इन 7 सालों में फ्रॉम अ सिंगल केक बेक करना भी सीखा है और बल्क में भी अभी हम बेक करते हैं. और मैंने मोर देन 30+ कॉर्पोरेट में द हाउस ऑफ केक के डेजर्ट्स एंड केक सर्व किए हैं. आई हैव सर्व्ड 5,000+ clients.
Oh, that's
my
great.
cakes.
Very nice. That's a big, huge number. Riddhi, and I've specially mentioned that I have tasted your cakes. They're very super moist and very flavorful. And जैसे घर में मम्मी बनाती है ना, सेम वैसे ही केक्स होते हैं. So बिना गिल्ट के आप खा सकते हो.
The House of Cake is not a brand now. It's like, you can say the House of Cake is Riddhi now.
Wow. So when your brand becomes your own identity, I think is what really makes you successful. So Riddhi, tell us what strategy you have used to scale up the House of Cakes as a business now, since it is now 7 years for you into this field. आपने क्या strategies use की?
सोचा कि इसको प्रोफेशनली लेके ही जाना है, तो स्केल अप तो करना ही था. आफ्टर ऑल बिजनेस में अगर पैसा नहीं बनता तो बिजनेस काहे का. सो आई विल गिव यू अ 5 strategies which I have implemented in my business. फर्स्ट इज ब्रांडिंग, जो मैंने उस पर बहुत बारीकी से काम किया है, वेदर इट इज लोगो, पैकेजिंग और मार्केटिंग. तो ब्रांड पे मैंने कंसिस्टेंटली काम किया है. सेकेंड वाज क्वालिटी. सो नो कॉम्प्रोमाइज इन क्वालिटी. मैं अपनी बच्चियों को सर्व कर सकती हूँ, वही मैंने फूड क्लाइंट को सर्व करने की कंसिस्टेंसी रखी और आज भी मैं वही सर्व कर रही हूँ. सो नो क्वालिटी कॉम्प्रोमाइज. थर्ड थिंग, नेटवर्किंग. नेटवर्किंग से बहुत ज्यादा स्किल अप मेरे को मिला है. यू नो दैट कि बिजनेस बनता है रिलेशनशिप से, तो नेटवर्किंग से ट्रस्ट गेन होता है. और अगर कोई बंदा आपको पसंद करता है ना, तो वो आपके प्रोडक्ट को जरूर पसंद करेगा. पर अगर वो आपको पसंद नहीं करता, आपके एटीट्यूड को पसंद नहीं करता, तो वो आपके प्रोडक्ट को कभी नहीं खरीदेगा या पसंद भी नहीं करेगा. सो नेटवर्किंग गिव्स मी अ great boost in my business. Last thing, I have invested in myself. So I groomed myself कि whether it is dressing, communication और कुछ भी हो, तो मैंने उसके अपने ऊपर काम किया है. So learning constant की है कि नए इन्वेंशन, नए फ्लेवर्स ऐड करने के लिए, तो उसमें मैंने बहुत काम किया है. एंड प्राइसिंग फैक्टर, क्योंकि मैं सिंगल क्लाइंट भी केटर करती हूँ और कॉर्पोरेट्स में भी डील करती हूँ, तो प्राइस फैक्टर मैंने ऐसे रखे कि मैं सबको जस्टिस दे सकूं.
राइट.
ऐसे मैंने ये 5 स्ट्रेटेजी अपने बिजनेस में इम्प्लीमेंट.
दैट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. In short, you have given like 5 tips to our audience that how you have strategically utilized your skills to scale up your business. That's very interesting, Riddhi. I know that you're a mom of 2 beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
Daughters हैं तो एग्जाम्स भी हैं, पढ़ाई है, बच्चों के काम भी हैं. हाउ डू यू बैलेंस दैट वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस कैसे मेंटेन किया?
Was very hard but not impossible, क्योंकि डॉटर्स थे तो पहले तो मैंने कभी अपने आप को एक्सक्यूज ही नहीं किया कि मुझे ये नहीं करना है.
Yes.
सो दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट कॉन्फिडेंस कि मुझे यही करना ही है. तो पहले मैंने अपना प्लान स्केड्यूल पूरा प्लान कर लेती थी पूरे दिन का, वन डे प्रायर, कि कल सपोज ये पीटीएम है, मेरी बेटी की मीटिंग्स है या कुछ भी है, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग मेरा पूरा दिन का स्केड्यूल प्लान होता था. प्रायोरिटीज मैंने सेट करके रखी थी कि ये पहले करना है, उसके बाद में ही यही होगा. तो ये और स्मार्ट टाइम मैनेजमेंट हेल्प्स लॉट for me to face these challenges.
Wow, Riddhi, I can see the amount of enthusiasm you have when you're talking about your brand, which I love. Great. So, House of Cake की कोई success story आप share करना चाहोगे, which was like really challenging for you and somehow you managed it and you're really proud of yourself.
Few days, you can say few days ago, there was a client, उनको 12 kg केक चाहिए था. वो भागवत सप्ताह जो बैठती है ना कृष्ण भगवान के लिए, तो उनके थीम पे 12 kgs केक चाहिए थे. उन्होंने सब जगह पूछ लिया बट nobody was ready to deliver in short time. उनको 4 घंटे में ही चाहिए था. So they came to me and it's a very short time and it's a very challenging for us also because the quantity was too big. So हमने 4 घंटे में उनको कृष्णा थीम पे 12 kgs केक बना के डिलीवर भी किया and they was so happy. The client was very happy. Maybe वो God का ही मुझे blessing होगा, कृष्ण भगवान का, कि ये complete हो गया. But this is very challenging part of
obviously like 12 kg is a big, like
in
huge
very short time
amount, right? And that too in
Especially in baking, it's very
baking,
challenging.
it takes time, especially like sourcing the ingredients and thinking about the design and the aesthetics part also. So that's very good, Riddhi. So Riddhi, tell what advice you would give to the budding, और budding तो नहीं बोलूँगी, but women entrepreneurs को आप क्या advice देना चाहोगे?
पहली एडवाइस तो काफी वुमेन्स होती है जिनको खुद के टैलेंट के बारे में ही नहीं पता होता है. तो अपने टैलेंट को पहचानो, कॉन्फिडेंस फील करो उसके ऊपर कि आई कैन डू दिस. सो बी फियरलेस और स्टेप अप करो. अपने आप को बांध के मत रखो. नो, डोंट सेट एनी बाउंड्रीज अपने लिए. सो आप कर सकते हो, अगर अपने आप पे कॉन्फिडेंट रखोगे तो कुछ भी कर सकते हो. सो बस मैं यही कहना चाहती हूँ कि अपने टैलेंट को पहचान के आगे बढ़ो और यू कैन क्रिएट अ मिरेकल आल्सो.
आप कभी सेल्फ डाउट की साइकिल में गई? कभी ऐसा हुआ लाइफ में कि कहीं आपको अपने ऊपर, आपकी अपनी कैपेबिलिटीज पे यू डाउटेड योरसेल्फ?
नहीं,
एंड हाउ यू केम आउट?
ऐसा कभी नहीं हुआ, पर ये चैलेंजेस जब आते थे तब कभी-कभी ऐसा लगता था कि होगा मेरे से, नहीं होगा, आगे कैसे कर पाऊंगी. बट माय स्ट्रेंथ इज माय डॉटर्स. सो दे सपोर्टेड मी अ लॉट. So today I am here.
Okay, so where do you see your brand, the House of Cakes, in coming years now?
So I think in Ahmedabad, अगर डेजर्ट और केक्स का नाम आए तो सबके मुंह पे एक ही ब्रांड आना चाहिए, द हाउस ऑफ केक. दिस इज माय ड्रीम, सो आई वांट टू मेक दिस कम ट्रू. थैंक यू.
हम ज़रूर ये विश करते हैं कि द हाउस ऑफ केक becomes one of the leading brand in the industry of bakery items. So that was Riddhi Shah from the House of Cakes. Very insightful and inspiring बातें हमने उनसे करी. Well, that was very insightful conversation we had with Kush and Riddhi. Moving ahead, now it is time to have some fun. So coming on to the rapid fire round. So Kush, are you ready?
Ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
Full of energy.
Absolutely.
Okay, हम expect करते हैं कुछ quirky, sassy answers. Okay, so rapid fire means rapid fire.
Sure.
So my first question to you, Kush, is if you were a burrito, what ingredients would you be stuffed with?
Guacamole for sure.
Molly. Okay. And why is it so? Quickly.
I love avocados.
Okay. It's smooth, like you are free, flowy kind.
True.
Okay. What do you think your salsa would say if it could talk?
Put me on the spot.
Well, that's quite witty answer. If you could only serve one item for the rest of your life, would it be tacos or nachos? And why would you choose that?
It would be nachos. Just because you can, take a different bite with different ingredients, whatever is topped with, or definitely choose nachos.
Okay, so the nachos, right? Do you have any secret technique, or it is just the playlist that makes your dishes so irresistible?
Of course, there is a secret technique, and those minor details, matter a lot. When you.
So what's on your playlist recently while you're cooking?
It's a mix of Hindi music, classical Gujarati songs, English pop songs, hip hop, techno.
तो बन गया ना salsa.
That's true.
So if you had to cook with one celebrity chef, who would it be and which dish would you make?
I think I would choose the icon of Indian, cooking, Mr. Sanjeev Kapoor. And, he was a pioneer to sort of, make it mainstream. And the dish that I would love to cook with him would be butter chicken.
Okay, that's great. So what's your secret weapon for attracting customers? A killer recipe or your dazzling personality?
I think recipe for sure. Your food at the end of
You're
the day
being
has
modest
to talk.
here. You know the truth, right? Okay. If a taco and a burrito had a dance off, which one would win and why?
I think definitely the taco. I think it's got a quirky shape, so I feel that the taco would actually win.
Swirls and the moves would be easier for a
Burrito would
taco
be
to
too
spin.
The graceful.
Yeah, the taco could spin a lot. So your best selling dish?
My best-selling dish is quesadilla.
Okay.
People love quesadilla at my restaurants.
Quesadilla. Okay, so viewers, Dos Bros, remember, if tacos could speak, what would they say about your cooking skills?
Make me hot with the spicy salsa.
And now it's the salsa time. Well, that was a wonderful, wonderful rapid fire round by Kush Shah, the co-founder of Dos Bros and Dos Creamery. Moving ahead now, Riddhi, are you ready for your rapid fire round?
Absolutely.
So I am looking forward to have some witty and quick answers from you.
Okay.
So here we go, Riddhi. If you were a cake, what flavor would you be and why?
I think a lemon blueberry cheesecake.
Okay, that's
Oh, wow.
quite...
That's a good one.
Yeah. Riddhi, if cakes could talk, what would your most stubborn one will going to say during the bake-off?
Do you think I'll come up in a single piece? Ha ha ha. Better luck next time.
That's quite a smart answer. What's the secret ingredient you would never admit to using?
Dash of luck and a pinch of attitude.
Oh my God. Pinch of attitude. I like that attitude of yours. Riddhi, that's very interesting. If your cakes had a theme song, what would it be?
तुमसे मिलके दिल का है जो हाल क्या कहे कर दिया है तुमने ये धमाल क्या करे.
Good one.
क्या बात है. जब भी हम ये गाना आप सुनेंगे.
Yeah, तो हाउस ऑफ केक को याद करना.
Well, Riddhi, what's your go-to excuse when someone says, I don't like cakes?
तो आपने अभी तक हाउस ऑफ केक का केक चखा ही नहीं है और बंदर क्या जाने अदरक का स्वाद.
God. Would you rather bake with a chef who can't count or one who sings everything they say?
I would prefer the one who singing because अगर जो शेफ काउंट नहीं करता है तो you can imagine the disaster recipe.
Baking is chemistry.
Chemistry,
so you
right.
have to like everything.
And the proportions.
Imagine a cake with the 20 cups of flour instead of 2 cups of flour.
So what do you call a cake that's bad at telling jokes?
I would say crumbly comedian.
What's that? Crumbly comedian.
Cake usually crumbly होता है.
Okay.
और it's a crumbly comedian.
Riddhi, if your oven could magically talk, now why I don't understand why everybody is talking to Riddhi. Kitchen के सारे equipments बात कर रहे हैं, but still, if your oven could magically talk, what would be its most dramatic complaint?
जब भी कुछ जल जाता है तो सारा इल्जाम मुझ पे ही आ जाता है जैसे कि मैं ही विलन हूँ. So this is injustice. So I want justice.
If you could bake a cake for any fictional character, who would it be and what kind of cake would it be?
So it would be a combine of Harry Potter and Sherlock Holmes. As Harry Potter has a magic and Sherlock Holmes has a mystery. So जब भी कोई वो मेरा केक खाएगा तो एक स्पून में वो mystery of taste उसको मिलेगा. So I would bake like that.
So that was very, very interesting rapid fire round with Riddhisha from the House of Cakes. So now it is time to have some fun, entertainment and games. This is round number 3 and naam hai iska the Food Frenzy round. Okay, so what we are going to do here is you can see that there are few chits in the box. Okay, so 6 chits are for you, Kush, and 6 chits are for Riddhi. You're going to take turn. Okay, we'll begin with Kush. You're going to take out one chit and you have to read. And after listening to that question, whatever the first word comes to your mind, you have to speak. Okay, so it's related to your industry only. It's related to food only.
Which is better for a cozy dinner at home?
Mexican.
ये लो अभी से ही promotion शुरू.
I love Mexican cuisine, that's why.
That's great.
Which is better for an outdoor barbecue?
Paneer tikka.
Oh.
All-time favorite.
Game is actually showing you how big foodie you both are, right? The food frenzy round. Next, it goes.
Which is better for a snack before bed?
Filter coffee.
Okay, तो फिर क्या सोओगे तुम तो नींद ही उड़ जाएगी.
Which is better for a spicy food lover?
I would say Tabasco pizza. Which dish is better for sharing with friends?
Desserts.
Now you're promoting yourself. Desserts, क्या बात है?
You should have said House of Cakes.
Brownies.
How those bros? Okay.
Which is better for a hearty meal?
Which dish is better for a hearty meal?
For a hearty meal, I would say dal khichdi. Which dish is better for a big celebration?
Gujarati cuisines from starting from the puri, ras puri and
Rabdi and jalebi and
all the
gajar ka halwa,
sweet
dal
dishes.
ka halwa, mohan thal. Quite hungry now. Okay, that's interesting. Moving ahead.
Which dish is better for a light, healthy meal?
Sprout salad, I think, would be a good one. Which is better for a rainy day?
बारिशों में तो सब एक ही चीज खाते हैं अहमदाबाद में. इतना सोचने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Pakoras every time.
Which dish is better for a family dinner?
Undhiyu. I really feel like, takes time to cook, and I feel like everyone can enjoy like different vegetables in the
Very
undhiyu.
true.
So I think, it's a good
Traditional food.
Traditional big family food.
Which is better for a summer picnic?
Ice creams?
पिकनिक पे आइसक्रीम
From
लेके
Rose
जाओगे.
Creamery.
From Rose again promotion.
Picnic mein, I think I like that
पूरी आलू.
puri. Dude, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Masala puri with like aloo bhaji.
Which is better for a sweet tooth?
Please promote.
Sweet
Please promote.
tooth
Please promote.
Mohan Thal is like the king. Oh yeah, or House of Cakes for
The
sure.
Mohan Thal flavored cake.
Which dish is better for a Sunday brunch?
I would prefer South Indian. Which is better for a quick lunch?
Sandwich.
Yep.
Which is better for a late night snack?
So I would say khakra. Which is better for a morning pick me up?
Morning pick me up. I love soaked chia seeds and oats overnight in like
Smoothie.
almond milk.
Okay.
So with some fruits on top. So that would,
Smoothie.
yeah, absolutely.
So now we all are very hungry after having so much of food on this table, right? And that was really fun and entertaining round. We had food frenzy round with Kusha and Riddhisha. And हमें इतनी सारी information मिली इनके बारे में as a person, as a personality. We came to know what type of food they like. So in the end, Kush, what would you like to say to Happy Biz community?
I would, thank you so much, for inviting me and having me over, to understand my journey and my thoughts, on this food and entrepreneurship business. And, I just wish this community a lot of luck.
Thank you.
Don't be afraid of taking risks in life. One life to live. So make sure, you try and give it your best and to, whatever field or whatever dreams that you have. And, really appreciate you, Ruchi, for inviting me here.
Thank you.
And having me here.
It is our pleasure.
Being here.
Yeah,
Thank
to
you.
have you. So, well, that was very, very inspirational and motivating, Kush, for giving your message to Happy Biz community. Moving ahead, Riddhi, what would you like to say to Happy Biz members? आप तो बहुत टाइम से शुरू से ही आप जुड़े हुए हो हैप्पी बिज कम्युनिटी के साथ.
यस डेफिनेटली रुचि. मैंने जैसे बोला कि बिजनेस को अगर स्केल अप करना है तो नेटवर्किंग इज मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. तो मैं उनको बोलूंगी कि अपने ड्रीम को कभी मतलब अंडर एस्टिमेट मत करो अपने आप को. अगर आपको कुछ करना है तो स्टेप आउट, और अपने आप पे भरोसा करके करो. You can do it, do whatever you want to do and be a risk taker. तो मैंने ज्यादातर देखा है कि फीमेल्स रिस्क लेना बहुत ज्यादा पसंद नहीं करती है क्योंकि उनको फाइनेंशियल या जो भी है. So be a risk taker and step out. You can do a miracle.
So, to all the women entrepreneurs, do come and join Happy Biz community. So, that was wonderful having both of you today on the Funtastik Show, and we really had a great time together. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Funtastik Show. A huge thank you to Kush and Riddhi for sharing their inspiring journeys with us. You have truly given us a taste of entrepreneurship, blending sweet with a kick of spice. To all the viewers, we hope you're feeling inspired to chase your dreams, add some sweetness to your life, and bring a little spice to your ventures. Stay tuned for more exciting conversations, and remember, keep it fun and keep it funtastic.